Do you think a far lefty can win a national election in this day and age? A presidential election. Do you think that could happen?
Far left, you mean like AOC?
Yes. I'm just whether it's what you said about Newsom, whether it's an AOC. I mean, do you think somebody like that can win a general election for the presidency of the United States in this day and age? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. To me, the Democratic Party is a ghost brand. You know what a ghost brand is? It's like Sears or, General Electric. It's still a company, Abercrombie and Fitch, but they've really fallen on hard times. But they've been around for a long time. So there is value in, it's an asset, right? Because there are still people who know of the company, and if you could have somebody take it over, who's not sentimental about that company and, relaunch it, rebrand it. But it would have to be somebody who is unapologetic about calling them out. People have lost faith in the Democratic Party for very good reasons.
What happens when one of the left's biggest voices stops playing defense and instead turns his fire directly at his own party? That's exactly what Bill Maher did, live on air, and it wasn't comedy. It was a brutal wake-up call that left Democrats looking like they've completely lost the plot. Forget the polite political banter. Maher lit a torch, and he didn't care who got burned. Maher didn't just criticize the Democratic Party, he humiliated them with one of the most cutting comparisons you'll ever hear. He called them a ghost brand. What does that mean? Think Sears, Abercrombie, General Electric. Big names that used to dominate, but now they're hollow shells. The logos still exist, but the soul is gone. That's exactly how Maher sees the Democratic Party. Alive in name, but dead in spirit. And the thing is, he's not wrong.
Right now, I got to get to my next guest. Oh, he's an actor, a comedian, a producer, a writer, and host of the hit HBO political talk show, Real Time with Bill Maher. The one and only Bill Maher is with me right now. What's going on, Big Time? How are you, sir? How's everything?
I'm not an actor.
Well,
Don't ever call me an actor.
I apologize.
I'm the opposite of an actor, like you. Actors are avoiding the truth and playing parts. We're real and telling what's real.
Democrats keep clinging to old slogans, old strategies, and old promises that don't inspire anyone anymore. It's like a zombie company staggering along, pretending it's still relevant. But Maher wasn't stopping there. He wasn't just going after politicians. He took a swing at one of the left's most untouchable sacred cows, Hollywood. Because if you thought the Democrats were out of touch, Maher basically said, Hollywood might be living on another planet entirely. Maher aimed his flamethrower at Hollywood elites and late-night comedians, saying they're trapped in a liberal bubble. And he named names. Jimmy Kimmel, out of touch. The whole late-night crowd, stuck talking only to themselves. Maher pointed out that these shows don't even try to speak to half the country anymore. They load up their guest list with liberals repeating the same talking points. And if they dare invite conservatives, it's always the watered-down safe ones.
He insulted MAGA. That's different. And he didn't lie. He said what he thought was true, which I disagreed with. I mean, I gave my spiel about it on the show last week, and it was basically saying something very different than what Jimmy said. I don't think he got it right. I think he's, quite frankly, in his liberal bubble, which is why, let's be real, those shows are struggling, is because they, I think, arrogantly dismiss half the country. They don't speak to them, let alone for them. And that's a problem.
That strategy might make them feel good, but it's killing their relevance. Ratings are tanking because people are sick of hearing the same voices in an echo chamber. Maher wasn't saying this to defend Republicans. He was saying it because the left has built itself into a cage, and now they can't escape. But Maher wasn't done just torching late-night TV. He went deeper. He connected it to the biggest issue of all, the one that exposes the left's biggest hypocrisy: free speech. This is where Maher gets dangerous. For his own side, he flat out said cancel culture is destroying democracy, and he didn't tiptoe around it. According to Maher, silencing people, deplatforming them, shaming them for bad opinions, that's the opposite of democracy.
Anything is possible, and possibly it would excite a certain group of people who have not voted. What if 80% of Gen Z voted? Could then a Mondami-like candidate win? I guess so, but I'm not expecting that to happen, and I don't think it's the smart bet for the Democrats. There was an article in The Atlantic this week about, well, the Democratic leadership keeps saying the Democrats should change course, away from the far left, but they're not doing it.
America was built on open debate, clashing ideas, and the right to argue without fear. Once you start burning people at the stake for disagreeing, the system collapses. And here's where he really turned the knife. He said the left only suddenly cares about free speech now because they're out of power. When they had the narrative on lock, they were the ones pushing censorship. Remember when social media platforms got pressured to filter out stories that didn't fit the agenda? Or when comedians, authors, and even regular people got canceled for stepping out of line? Yeah, Maher hasn't forgotten. And now that the shoe's on the other foot, Democrats are crying free speech like it's their favorite song. The hypocrisy couldn't be louder. And while Maher was hitting the left for censorship, he made a move that shocked everyone. He actually praised Donald Trump. Maher called Trump something most Democrats would never admit: the real deal. He explained it like this: Trump may be wild, reckless, and flawed, but what you see is what you get. There's no mask, no carefully scripted performance, no cocktail circuit charm offensive. Trump doesn't try to impress the elites. He just speaks, raw and unfiltered. Compare that to the Democratic establishment. Politicians who rehearse every line, carefully stage every smile, and obsess over applause instead of truth. To Maher, that's the fatal flaw. People are sick of phonies. Trump might not be perfect, but at least he's authentic. And in politics today, authenticity is gold. Now, you might be thinking, did Maher suddenly flip to Team Red? Not exactly, because after praising Trump's realness, he revealed the one Democrat he thinks still has a chance: California Governor Gavin Newsom. Maher admitted it, he actually likes Gavin Newsom. He's a strong speaker, he looks sharp, he can throw punches when needed. Maher even said he'd love to see him as a candidate. But here's the problem: Newsom has baggage. Big baggage, California's homelessness crisis, insane housing costs, businesses fleeing the state, rising taxes. All of that is strapped to his name. And Maher knows it. He even told Newsom directly, "You went too far left for me." That's brutal honesty, because even if Maher has a soft spot for him, he can't convince himself that Newsom is the guy who can resurrect a dying party. If Bill Maher, one of Newsom's loudest defenders, can't fully buy into him, why should anyone else? And that's when the conversation shifted to an even bigger question. If not Newsom, could the new far-left icons, like AOC or other Gen Z favorites, be the ones to save the Democrats? Stephen A. Smith asked Maher if he thought a far-left candidate could ever win the presidency in today's America. Maher didn't hesitate. No. Sure, AOC might excite Gen Z on TikTok. Sure, young progressive candidates might dominate online buzz, but buzz doesn't equal ballots. Maher pointed out the obvious: far-left candidates can win local seats in deep blue areas. But a national election? That's a whole different ballgame. The middle of the country isn't buying it. And without moderates, Democrats can't win. Period. This is where Maher's warning hit hardest. Democrats are obsessing over fringe purity tests instead of building coalitions. Politics isn't about screaming the loudest online. It's about winning votes in the middle. And if Democrats keep alienating those voters, they're not just losing elections, they're losing their future. By the time Maher was done, he'd burned through every layer of the Democratic Party, from Hollywood elites to woke activists, from party leaders to future hopefuls. His message was simple but devastating. The Democratic Party is a ghost brand. Hollow, leaderless, clinging to failed strategies, and blind to the reality that their echo chamber is killing them. And here's the real kicker. Maher wasn't saying this to score cheap points. He was saying it as a warning. If Democrats don't separate themselves from the far-left fringe, if they don't reconnect with everyday Americans, if they don't get real about the issues people actually care about, they're finished. So let me leave you with this question. Did Bill Maher just give Democrats the only lifeline they'll ever get? Or did he already write their obituary on live TV?